Hey there, this is Peter. Welcome to another Take a Break with Valley CAD. So when I was getting familiar in SOLIDWORKS, one of the best ways that I could practice was I would grab physical objects that have already been made, things that might have been in a classroom or in the office or at my home, and I would try to figure out ways how I would model that item in SOLIDWORKS. And so we're going to do that in this video as well, because I'm pretty sure many of you that are, getting familiar with SOLIDWORKS or are veteran users have done it, or you're in the middle of doing it. And so we're going to utilize this desk fan that we have here, and we're going to come in and try to figure out how we're going to model this little chrome framework for it. And we're going to implement 3 different features to do this. One's going to be projected curve, the one's going to be working with 3D sketches just a little bit, and then also working through what's called a Fit Spline. So go get your favorite cup of coffee or tea, and I'll see you in SOLIDWORKS in just a click. Hey there, welcome to SOLIDWORKS. So you'll see the final part here that we are going to make in this video. And as we look at this, you'll notice that I did not come in and come up with a little crimp here, and I did not come up with the mounting holes either. What we are focusing on is projected curve, 3D sketches, and the Fit Spline. So let's go ahead and hop over into a part that I already started making to come up with our final product here. All right, so you'll see here that I have active on my top plane is this profile made up right now. And so whenever you're coming up and doing reverse modeling, you got to come up with a game plan of, what sort of plane do I want to work with first, and what sort of entities do I want to sketch on given planes. So in this scenario, imagine that we're looking at the part like this. And what I did was I started from here and I came over and came down, and I made everything so I'm ignoring the bins at this time. Okay, so I made it so it's locked over the origin. I made origin here. And so what I'm gonna end up doing is I'm gonna mirror half of this body onto the other side to come up with my final product in the end. Great. So now we got that front or our sketch on our top plane complete. And how you know I'm on my top plane is due to my reference triad in the bottom left corner. See how it says asterisk top there? That's SOLIDWORKS way of kind of telling, hey, you're looking from a top view. Awesome. Okay, so let's get out of our sketch and let's go ahead and start up sketching what it's going to look like from this leg here. So what we're going to end up using as a feature is called a projected curve. And when you're working with a projected curve, it's going to take 2 sketches, in this scenario at least. And so how we're going to work on this is imagine looking at this in a orthographic view. So how does this look when you're looking at it from a front view? And also how does it look when you're looking at it from a right side view as well? So as we look at it from a front, it's coming off at this angle and it's coming up at yay distance. And then as we look from this view, it's going back. All right, so starting off, we're going to utilize my front plane first. Front plane, and as part of the reason why I designed my first sketch this way, my front plane is coming in and intersecting at the origin or at the base point of that center line and that line there. Cool. Okay, so create a new sketch, and now we're looking from a front view, and we're just going to simply draw a line. So imagine as if we are looking at this guy from the front view. Okay, smart dimension this. I'm going to give it a total height of 6 inches, and I need to put in an angular dimension. In this scenario, I'm just going to use arbitrary number. I'm going to come up with about 95 degrees. Once again, these are rough measurements. Okay, so I'm going to come up and utilize my top plane for this one, and then click on this entity alone. So in case you don't know that, use your primary planes or other reference geometry to help dimension or to add relations to your 2D sketches. All right, so in this scenario, I said it'd be 95 degrees. Now, if you notice, when I put in that angular value, it shifted my 6-inch line here to the left. Like, why didn't it stay locked on to the point there? I see a coincident relation. Well, there is a coincident relation. Technically, this point is coincident to my top plane. So what we need to do is tell this point to be locked to this point here. Now what we could do is hold down Control and click on those 2 entities and say this point and that point be coincident to each other, and we're done, fully defined. But whenever I'm going to be working with a 3D sketch kind of environment, I prefer to use what's called a Pierce relation. And how Pierce relation works is it grabs an endpoint of an entity and an actual entity that's on a separate sketch. So watch this. Let's say I use this endpoint of my current active active sketch, and then hold down Control and click on this line alone. From there, I see this new relation. It's called a pierce relation. What that's actually doing is saying, hey, that line that's on my top plane is traveling and it's terminating on my front plane. Now, since I have that 6-inch line there that's on my front plane, I'm telling that endpoint to come and lock wherever this line that's on my top plane pierces the front plane. And that's how that works there. All right, cool. So now we got that done. We're gonna say okay to that to get out of that sketch. So that's how we look from the front view. Now we need to see what this looks like from a side view, either your right or left view there. So we're gonna say that we wanna look at it from our right side plane and create a new sketch. So notice that you don't have to create a new reference plane for this. I'm just making it on my primary plane. So as we look at this model here, my leg is extending backwards up towards the back side of my frame here, right? So as we look at my model here, that's what it's doing as well. So I need to draw a line that's coming off from here and moving back like so. And notice here that I don't have this line living on this point here because it's on my right plane. That's totally okay on this. What I do want to make sure on is that this time it's locking to my origin. Okay, so I want to make it so that this line here is the same height as that line there, which was 6 inches, right? So if you have experience with equations, this is where equations will really kick in. If you don't know about equations yet, take a pause in our video, like right now, like that, and go check out one of our other Take a Break videos. It's all about equations. I'll include that as a link for this video as well. If you want to take a short break, go learn about equations, then come back to this one and finish it up. So I'm gonna come in and say, okay, you there, be 6 inches, right? But in reality, I want this to equal the height of whatever this one is. So instead of typing in 6, I'm gonna say be equal to that. From here, what I'm gonna do is utilize sketch number 3, and you'll see that 6-inch dimension show up. All I did was I double clicked on sketch number 3 there, and now I'm telling it to always equal that. Done. So now if I ever change a value on this leg, it'll automatically update this one. Sweet. So as we look at this, I believe it's coming back at, 65, maybe 70 degrees, give or take. And so what we're gonna do here is gonna grab that guy. We're gonna grab our existing sketch into there, and we'll make it so it's 65 degrees back, just for this given scenario here. And we'll simply say, okay to that. Okay, 2D sketch is made. We made 2 of them too. This is where we now take the 2 2D sketches and we make a projected curve from it. So where's projected curve? You come up under features, and from features you go towards the right and you'll see a little button that says curves. Click on that drop down and you'll see project curve. From here, you'll notice that there are 2 ways to do project curve. One of them is going to be a sketch on a face. So if you have existing geometry, you can project a sketch entity onto that, or you could do a sketch on sketch. And so this, if those of you that are familiar with the term Boolean, this is kind of that approach. So imagine that this sketch entity here is traveling perpendicular to the front plane, so it's going straight back. And in the other sketch that's coming off that 65 degrees, that's on my right plane, imagine that's being projected out this way. And so wherever they intersect will now make a new curve for me, a Boolean effect there. So from there and there, now we can see those 2 2D sketches being made into basically a 3D sketch from there. Say okay to that, and there is my new 3D kind of complex geometry. So there it is from a front view, and there's how it looks from a side view. All right, pretty cool. So now what we want to do is come in, we need to make this into a 3D sketch. So under the sketch tab, what I want to do is come down and make 3D sketch from it. Now, why are we making a 3D sketch? Well, what we want to end up doing is a sweep command from here. And with a sweep command, you have to come in and use one sketch entity all the way through that. So this is why we're going to grab several entities and we're going to convert them into one 3D sketch. So we are in a 3D sketch now. Under sketch tab, what we want to do is go to convert entities. We're going to grab that one, and this one, and simply right click. Done. We just now made a 3D sketch. The other reason why we want to have a 3D sketch is because we need to come in with those bins on us now, right? with a sketch fillet, you can only do that in one sketch geometry. You can't do a sketch fillet in one sketch and then do another sketch fillet in another sketch. It has to be in one sketch command. So as we look at this, I can now do that. All right, so coming up here to the fillet command, in this scenario, we'll make it so it's a 1-inch radius all the way around, and all I have to do is click on the points that I want to add a radius to, and simply right click. Then from there, say okay to that. All right, so now that we have our 3D sketch made, I can now come in and do my sweep command. So let's go ahead and get out of our sketch like so. And for the sake of visual representation, I'm just gonna hide curve 1. I'm gonna hide sketch 1 as well. So there's our complex 3D looking sketch right now. And so now we're gonna come up to features, and we're gonna do swept boss base, and we're gonna do a circular profile. And then from here, we're gonna make it so it's about a 1/2 inch radius, or diameter I should say. And we just go through and we click on that one given entity. And we're done. We just made a really cool half of a model here. Now, I get asked this quite often whenever I'm working with a design concept and I'm gonna share this design with someone that might not be familiar with SOLIDWORKS. They go, hey, that's really cool, but you know, as I look at this model here, I don't see little black rings on it as I do in your model. What the heck is going on there? Well, what's going on, if we look at our 3D sketch here alone, that 3D sketch is made up of 5 different entities. You know, you got this straight line, that radius, that straight line, that radius, and that straight line there. So wherever you have a change of vector, you're gonna end up having a ring there, because that ring is technically a tangent transition there. So you're going from a straight line, transitioning into a bend line, transitioning into a straight line. And so that's why you see those little rings that show up on this model. Now, this is where the command Fit Spline comes in. So as you look under my sketch tab, you do see that I have what's called a Fit Spline. I added that, so if you don't have it, just simply push the letter W. That activates your search commands function in the top right. Start typing in the word fit. From there, you could activate Fit Spline, and from there, you want to come through and click on each of your entities that you want to convert into a spline. Now, why do you want to convert to a spline? It makes it into one entity. Now you're getting rid of those transition pieces, but let's just see here. So before we start clicking on items, I want to uncheck this close spline function. Now, what I want to do is come through and click and order the entities as they transition along my path there. From there, simply say okay to that, and then we're gonna get out of the sketch. Now look at my sweep command. Those little rings are gone. And no, I did not switch to shaded without edges there, or just shaded mode. I'm still under shaded with edges mode there. So that's a really cool trick to work with on a 3D sketch that might have different transition points. Convert it to a Fit Spline, and you got your final product there. So now to finish up this design, all we have to do is mirror this body onto the other side. So activate the mirror command. I want to utilize this face here, or I could use my right plane if I want to. Features that one there. Simply right click, and we are done. Bingo. Sweet. So this is how we come in and we kind of did some reverse modeling. We introduced you to Project Curve. We also introduced you to Fit Spline and a little bit of 3D sketching, a little bit on there. So if you did enjoy this video, please click that thumbs up button. Also subscribe to the YouTube channel of Valley CAD. We are trying to post new Take a Break videos every Tuesday morning for you. Be subscribed so that way you can be the first to know about it as well. All right, other than that, have a great rest of the day and make sure you learn something new.